All right, radio check, radio check. 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Yes, it's going through properly. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, cadets and citizens, and welcome back to another episode of X Reacts. Or, yeah, it's sort of a unique episode that we have here, a unique stream where I'm both going to be, it's kind of half and half. I'm going to be reacting to some videos, and in a little while, I'll be hopping onto Hot Pursuit. But I figured, since, you know, the reaction is sort of connected to Hot Pursuit, that I would do a little bit of gameplay later. But what else have I to say? Oh, you know, today is V-Day. Happy Valentine's Day to those who celebrate. I hope it was a good one for you. Honestly, it was all right for me. You know, I didn't spend it with a date or anything like that. You know, I'm satisfied single, you know. Okay. I'm sorry, my Sky, my rope pet, was just singing there. I was gonna say that my love is with vehicles and, well, my rope pet. But anyways, that's beside. And she just heard that, and she was very ecstatic at me saying that. Anyways, that's all besides the point right now. What I wanted to do tonight for this episode of X Reacts is go back in time to, well, my first attempt at vocal content. You know, this is sort of my way of testing the waters for VTubing. I had to exercise my voice, so I decided the best way to do that was to rank almost every car in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. And let me just say, the results were mixed. You know, I thought it went pretty well, but some people, actually a lot of people who commented on my videos, they did not agree with my opinions all that much. I mean, some did. The vocal majority did not really. So I figured, as a way to sort of celebrate, you know, my channel's first love, I would go back and revisit these videos and see how much, if any, my opinion changed. So, yeah, let's hope it's a good one tonight. Make sure to grab yourself a drink or a snack or anything like that, and we shall get right into this. Again, I want to see how much my opinion has changed since, you know, when I first made these videos, because, you know, at the time I just retired, quote unquote, from being a professional, again, in air quotes, professional Need for Speed Hot Pursuit player. I mean, back then I was ranked 21 for both the, I'm not even sure if it's ranked 21 for both sides. I was max level for both sides. I test ran, I've driven every car at least 50 miles. I'm not sure if that makes me a pro or not, but I did have a variety of experience with every car in the game up to that point. Now, I know that there's some cars on here that I will stand by my opinions with, but we'll get to that when we get to that. In the meantime, though, I'm waiting for the ad break to finish. Again, I hope all y'all had a great Valentine's Day out there today. You know, whether it was spent single or with a date, you know, with your true love or with a group of friends. You know, I hope it was a good one. It should be a day where love is in the air, you know. And, you know, some might say that hate is plaguing the world right now. But if you think about it, hate is born from love. Because love gives birth to hate, love is technically stronger. I promise that makes sense. Anyways, the ad break is just about to finish, so let's start this up. Might have to raise the volume a little bit, since, if I remember correctly, the volume, I'm not gonna lie, the volume with these videos was far from ideal. You know, I went from, like, get out of here with those ads. Sorry, Sky, I was not aiming that at you. But anyways, I had to adjust the volume quite a bit between episodes 1 and 2 here. Anyways, let's see how much I need to increase the volume.
Before this video starts, I want
Yep, a lot. And this was way back when I had to use the, what was it, the built-in laptop mic. Those were the days, you know. And I did this as like a 500 subscriber special because, you know, at that point, I dedicated my entire channel up to Hot Pursuit at that point. So I wanted to do something special for it. Anyways, enough yapping. Let's get into this.
I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's...
Yeah, I know. I wanted to thank everyone for getting 500 subscribers. Yeah, I know we're long past that point, but I still wanted to convey my gratitude. Yeah, even back then I was busy. That's why this video came so late. I think I posted it like right after, or not necessarily right after, sometime either before or after I went on vacation to the Philippines that year.
Hey guys, Exodus50 here. I'm going to be ranking every single tier 3 supercar.
Yep, I need to raise the volume quite a bit here. So give me a moment, ladies and gentlefolk. Slow at the moment. Anyways, let's...
Car and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit from worst to best. Prior to this, I've never actually seen anyone rank the cars in Hot Pursuit, but I can't really blame them. This kind of list is preference-oriented after all. However, I have a pretty good idea on what I prefer in a car and what makes it good or bad, and it comes down to 3 things. 1. How easy is a car to drive? 2. How rewarding it is to master? And 3. Just how good its stats are overall.
Yeah, those 3 tenets for me. How easy it is to drive, you know, how easy is it to, you know, weave around corners, get up to speed. Actually, it almost feels like these 3 tenets tie into each other, except for the second one, which has to deal with skill ceiling. You know, some cars, they're easy to drive, but they don't feel necessarily rewarding, you know? They're skill-less almost. But other cars, you know, I'm pretty sure... Yeah, the SL65 is at the top of this list, I just remember. It does feel rewarding to drive that car well. Anyways, let's continue on here.
With these 3 tenets in mind, let's jump into the list. Starting off at number 21, the worst supercar in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is the Porsche 911 Speedster.
Okay, I think over time my opinion on this car softened, but honestly, not by much. I am still not a big fan of this car. Granted, I like the way it looks, but driving this car is an unpleasant experience. Will say, though, the top speed of this thing is wild. I mean, y'all already know. I got this thing up to 249 miles an hour, somewhere around there, when I did my Porsche Speedster Spotlight. But that does not negate the fact that, you know, the handling on this thing is no bueno. It is not good. And the acceleration is nothing to write home about either. In fact, it's probably one of the worst in the tier. The only real good thing I'd say about this, again, besides the ludicrous top speed, is the nitrous, you know, it's all right, I guess. But the durability, and durability is a little bit above average, still nothing to write home about. Really, all this car has is its top speed, and all of its other stats pretty much suffer because of it.
Where do I start? Let me just start by saying I love the look of this car. I love the engine sound, and that's about it. Everything else about this car sucks.
I was not holding back any punches there when I said that. You know, again, my opinion on this car has softened up over time. In fact, I'd say the car ahead of this car... I'd say the car that I put ahead of this is actually worse. But we'll get to that when we get to it.
Pretty much everything about this car is inferior in one way or another to every other car in the tier. Its raw top speed is pitiful. It can barely accelerate. Its nitro isn't all that good. Its durability, while strong, isn't the best. And its handling, oh Good lord. The Speedster has some of the worst handling I've ever had the displeasure of experiencing in this game. A combination of understeer and oversteer will make you struggle from keeping this car going off the side.
Yeah, and this is kind of a trait that the 911 GT2 RS has, but the Speedster, on the Speedster, it has more understeer than oversteer compared to the GT2 RS. Oversteer is a lot easier to deal with than understeer, especially when you're going through a corner like the one that I'm about to go through right here.
The reason you want to drive this car is if you want to purposely challenge yourself, in which case I'd say go ahead, but otherwise I'd suggest you using literally any other car. Just above it, at number 20, we have another convertible car. Go figure. Okay, now is probably a good time for me to bring up my policy regarding convertibles. I'm only going to be...
Okay, now this I'd say is the actual worst car in the supercar tier. It's kind of similar to the Porsche Speedster in that it sacrifices one of its stats for the sake of everything else. In this case, I'm pretty sure it's its nitrous, and then everything else about it sucks. Yeah, the top speed is bad, acceleration is bad, durability is bad. Z06 is better than this thing in every way, and they're technically the same car, but they're not. At least in terms of how they drive. And that's why I had to mention the whole convertible policy thing with... Because you have cars in this game like the R8 convertible and the R8 coupe, which there's nothing different between the two except for, you know, one's a convertible and one's not. You know, they pretty much drive the exact same they pretty much drive the exact same way. That was not the case for the Corvette Ground Sport and the Z06. They drive like completely different animals. I will say, though, I do still think that the Z06 is probably one of the most underrated cars in the tier. Still doesn't beat the SL65, though, but it's still a fun driving experience. The same can't be said for the Grand Sport here.
Ranking them with the coupe versions if they drive exactly the same, because there's quite a few convertibles in this tier. However, in the case of the Corvette Grand Sport, it drives nothing like its coupe counterpart. Similarly to the Speedster, it handles pretty badly. Not as bad as the Speedster, but you will notice how delayed the steering is with this thing.
Which doesn't make really that much sense, because I'm just basing this off of the C7 series. I'm pretty sure the Grand Sport is supposed to be the lightest, if not the second lightest, of the Corvettes. I mean, in this game, the Z06 is trademarked as the lightest Corvette ever, but the Grand Sport shouldn't be that far behind, and yet here it is, handling like an absolute boat.
Its top speed is also pretty low, especially in comparison to the Z06. Its acceleration, well, yeah, it's not really bad, but it's certainly nothing to write home about. Its nitro is actually pretty decent, however, with its low speed, you'll probably spend most of the race using your nitro to get up to speed and not get past it. And its durability is also not very impressive. So again, like the Speedster, I'd only really recommend driving this car if you want to challenge yourself, but otherwise, wait till you get the Z06. Sure, it might be a later grind, but it is better than this car in every possible way.
Yeah, I still stand by that. I do want to say, though, there's not necessarily, like, I wouldn't say there's any car that's, like, universally bad. It just, you know, takes more skill and is less rewarding to drive than others. All right, next up is the SLS. I honestly didn't really have that much experience with the car, and if you saw my last stream, you know that sound wave from Dark of the Moon killed my impression of this car. But actually, I'm pretty sure its acceleration is decent, but it still doesn't handle that well. Again, you'll notice a trend with these lists where cars that are very easy to drift, they tend to get the higher spots.
Next up on the list, we have the Mercedes SLS. Now, I haven't actually driven that car as much compared to other cars on this list, but when I...
Oh my goodness. And the audio disconnect sometimes with these earlier videos, they were jarring.
Did drive it, I really wasn't all that impressed. Its top speed and nitro are actually pretty decent, alongside its durability.
Actually, I'm not sure if y'all could see. I might need to move my model for this. But that, it did not go up that, the top speed did not go up that much with the nitrous. Let me see, yeah, let me move my, where's my model in my OBS settings? There we go. Yeah, let me go back a little bit and show y'all that the nitrous was not really that good.
On this list, but when I did drive it, I really wasn't all that impressed. Its top speed and nitro are actually pretty decent, alongside its durability. However,
yeah, it wasn't. I think the nitrous on this thing, in retrospective now, the acceleration is better than its nitrous. Kind of similarly to the, what was the car? The Pagani Zonda, the Pagani Zonda Cinque, and the CCXR, which those two also have pretty decent actually very good acceleration, but pretty abysmal nitrous power.
It's pretty heavy. It handles like a boat, and it accelerates.
Yeah, and it kind of does, but it's still not. I wouldn't say it's worse than the Corvette Grand Sport.
Not horribly, but it's still pretty bad compared to other cars in the tier. I'd say the SLS is okay. Not really the best car in the tier, though I certainly say it's more drivable than the last two. At number 8...
That wasn't really saying much. And now here's a car that I hated this thing when I tried to drive it, but, you know, driving it a lot more, I start to see the value in this thing. I'd probably say it's like more mid higher tier because it has its purpose in the game.
We have the BMW M6 convertible. I was actually debating whether or not to put this above or below the SLS, but I've driven the BMW more than the SLS, and I'd say it's a better driving experience compared to the SLS. Actually,
that I still agree with myself on. Oops, sorry, I don't know why this popped up. I guess V is like the shortcut now to pop these up. I don't know why some of those end up in my recommended, but anyways. Yeah, the M6, you know, it's the stereotypical tank car. I mean, what were you expect? Good nitrous, good top speed, good durability. The handling, not the best. Acceleration, also not the best. But with this car, you're kind of meant to stay behind. You're kind of meant to stick to the trail position, as Chopper would say.
I find it funny that this car is a racer exclusive vehicle because it's convertible. However, I bet it probably would have done way better as a cop vehicle because this thing is a tank.
That's an opinion I still stand by. I don't know why they didn't add a police version of the M6 to this game.
Literally, it is the most durable car in the tier. The M6 also has a very strong top speed and nitrous, which again helps with catching up to your targets, but I suppose also helps with bodyguards catching up to the most wanted so that they could protect him. However, as suggested before, because of how tank-like the car is, the car accelerates very, very slowly. In fact, it is more reliant on nitrous than possibly any other car in the tier. And then, of course,
yep, I still kind of stand by that.
Of course, it does not handle well at all.
I need to go back and see what just happened there.
Of course, it does not handle.
Oh man, yeah, I can answer that question to me. I can answer that question now, past self. That was a nice little phenomenon we call car surfing. You know, that's the term I invented for it when it happened to me in Need for Speed Most Wanted, you know, the original Most Wanted. Whenever a cop car would end up sliding underneath you and send you for a little bit of a ride. And, well, sometimes it would result in you getting busted in probably the worst way possible. Because you couldn't do anything about it.
Well, at all. You will notice how much speed you lose if you're going around Eagle Crest and trying to drift around the corners. I actually didn't like driving this car prior to making this list, and while I still don't think it's like one of the best cars in the tier, I certainly think it's a viable option, especially for most wanted and hot pursuit when you'll need that durability to survive. Plus, the top speed in nitrous always helps. At number 17.
Yep. Again, I probably would have ranked this car a little bit higher if I made the list today. Now, this car, I'd say, oh boy, when we get to the Viper ACR, I'm going to get heat for that because I still don't understand why the car is held in such high regards. And the same for the Viper here. It supposedly has like similar driving characteristics to the ACR. At least when I drove it around, it felt very similar.
We have the Dodge Viper, and I'm also lumping in the final edition because they drive pretty much exactly the same. Now, I don't like driving this car, to be honest. Sure, it accelerates fine, and its nitrous is pretty good. But the handling for this car is weird. It's like the Speedster in a sense where it has both understeer and oversteer. Like, when you go into a corner with this thing, you barely turn until you make it past 15 degrees, and then once you make it past there, it starts to, like, oversteer, like, a lot. Like, if you don't...
I think I used the term fighting to keep this car from going into the wall. You know, when you're not at a tight turning degree, it feels like, you know, you're trying to prevent it from going into the outside wall, but when you drift too much, or, you know, past that 15-degree mark, it feels like you're fighting to prevent it from going into the inside wall, which... not a big fan of how that handled. I haven't actually driven this car too much recently. Maybe I'll do that when I hop on later tonight. But I still not a fan of this car, and the engine sound is just probably the worst in the tier as well.
You'll go into the wall or something. It's not fun at all. I only placed it above the cars on the list so far just because its other stats negate its bad handling, including its durability, which I didn't mention. It's okay, but still. There are...
yeah, see, that's what happened.
Which I didn't mention. It's okay, but still.
Yeah, see, that happens to me more than any other... well, it happened to me more than any other car that I've driven in the supercar tier at the time, including the Shelby GT500, that is king oversteer there.
There are better cars to drive in the supercar category. You may have noticed a bit of a trend going on with the lower cars on this list in that they have either bad or unpredictable handling. But don't worry, we're going to start to turn the curve here with the next spot. Next up on the list is the Porsche Panamera Turbo.
Yeah, this is a bit of an interesting spot because, again, this is the first car that, at least when I drove it, it felt like it had decent handling. Granted, you know, some might... I'm gonna actually play this out here.
This car is good. Not great, but good. It accelerates pretty well and has pretty strong nitrous.
Yeah, see, this car, even though it doesn't look like it turns much, it actually does, you know. However, I'd say the killing blow for this car is its top speed. It's a big, heavy sedan, so it does not have a very high top speed, even when you use nitrous for it, which the turbo in the name kind of suggests, you know, a fast accelerating, high nitrous power car, which it kind of is, but the problem is when you get up to top speed, it doesn't really push you that much further, you know.
Handling is actually better than you might expect from a four-door car. Like, once you start turning with this thing, it's pretty sharp. The problem is, like, if you turn too much, you'll plow yourself into the wall. Again, because it's a four-door car, it has pretty strong durability, but its obvious weak spot is its top speed. Like, it's okay with nitrous, but once you run out, you'll notice how slow this car is.
Yep, I still stand by this. I think this is a car that I would keep it in this spot, honestly. A little bit of where it starts to turn the curve from, like, cars that I genuinely don't like driving all that much to, you know, cars that I can actually tolerate driving.
The Panamera is still a good car, but compared to other cars in the tier that have better acceleration, nitrous handling, blah blah blah, it just can't keep up. Next up on the list,
Literally.
we have the James Bond car, as I like to call it.
Yep, the James Bond car. Because, you know, this is pretty sure it was Casino Royale, or it was either Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace, where James Bond had this car.
Get your hands on in the supercar category. It's not actually a bad car. One of the first cars you get your hands on in the supercar category. It's not actually a bad car.
Actually, one of the first that you get your hands on in the police category, you get the Volante, which, again, similar driving experience, as like what, the second, it's either the second, third, or fourth car that you get in the supercar tier. And then, you know, you get this car, which somehow is like one of the last unlocks. Like after 1 million bounty is when you get this car, which, don't get me wrong, it's a fun car to drive. And, you know, if I had to choose a tank car between this and the M6, I'd probably take this. I'd probably take the DBS. Just because, you know, I found it a little bit more of a pleasant driving experience, and the engine sound, you know, some people say that the V10 that the M6 has is like one of the best engine sounds of all time. I would have to disagree with, well, I wouldn't disagree with it, but I would say that the DBS engine is way better.
Sure, this is another one of those tank cars that has pretty heavy handling. It has alright acceleration, and its top speed and nitrous are pretty powerful, alongside its durability. Again, it's a tank vehicle. So the Aston Martin DBS is still a pretty good car, especially again for those pursuit modes.
Oh yeah, I forgot. This is the car that I got rank 21 with. Yeah, massive volume warning here if you watch this as a VOD.
Just above it at number 14, we have its smaller brother, the V12 Vantage.
Now, this car I would definitely rank a lot higher. Not gonna lie, I just ranked it based on it being like the smaller brother of the DBS. But this car is almost better in every way except for durability. It handles like a dream, which you kind of wouldn't expect from an Aston Martin. Because, you know, compare the DBS, it's a tank car. This thing is, granted, a little bit smaller, but still a tank car in a way. But it still retains a very high durability. The only real thing that I would hold against this car is, excuse me, the acceleration of this thing is not, again, it's nitrous reliant, so it doesn't accelerate as well. And its top speed, you know, not the best, certainly nothing compared to the SL65. In fact, I'd say this car is like the SL65 Junior. Not a bad car. In fact, I'd say it's probably, I should have ranked this car way higher. But still, again, nothing compared to the SL65. Still, again, I love this car. Again, I'm not going to say it. I should have ranked this car a lot higher.
Essentially take everything I said about the DBS, but add better handling on this. Yeah, this is one of the first cars on the list that actually has decent handling. It has slightly worse acceleration than the DBS, and its top speed.
That is, I'm not sure if that's true or false, actually. I might have based that off like the 0 to 60 times, in which case I probably got that wrong. But this car, again, it is a dream to drive this thing. And also, it carries the same banger engine note as the DBS.
Well, it's a little bit lower without nitrous, but with nitrous, it's pretty much on level. And of course, the shared trait between these cars is its powerful nitrous and its pretty strong durability. Again, it's an Aston. It's a tank vehicle. This is actually one of my favorite vehicles in the game, but I can't be opinionated and biased just because I think it's a cool car. I've had to rank this one objectively. Objectively, it's still a good car, but objectively speaking, there are still cars above it on the list that are better than it.
I don't know why I said objectively, like, so close within the same duration there, but Yeah, even bias aside, I still would have ranked this car. If I made it today, I would have ranked this car way higher.
But now, starting with this car, this is when we start to turn the curve and when we start to get into the good cars. I find it strange how few JDM cars we have in this game, but that's okay because the few that do show up are actually pretty decent.
Yeah, again, I still think probably would have ranked this car a little bit lower because, handling wise, it's not as good as the DVS. Again, still a strong car. Actually, trying to think of like what's good about this car. Decent durability, very good acceleration. Nitrous is all right. Again, top speed it's almost similar to the Panamera in that way, in that it's acceleration, nitrous, and durability are pretty good. Handling's like actually a little bit above but still pretty good. And top speed, it doesn't clear 200 miles an hour at stock, without nitrous, but it's still pretty good. I also got to give this car like praise for it being one of the most iconic cars, one of the most iconic supercars of our time, and being one of the most frequent winners of the world's greatest drag race.
Case in point, number 13, the Nissan GTR. This is another one of those tank vehicles, but unlike a stereotypical tank, it actually handles pretty well. Thanks to its aggressive all-wheel drive system, it has very strong acceleration. Its handling and drifting is actually pretty stiff because of this, but unlike other stereotypical tank vehicles, it actually keeps its speed quite a decent amount through corners. It also has pretty strong durability, as I
see there, it actually cleared that curve pretty well, and it got most of its speed back.
The only real downside of the car is its top speed. Again, not bad, but in comparison to some of the other cars in the tier, it just doesn't keep up. At number 12, we have the Audi R8, another good but average car.
Oh man, I love this car so much, but especially with the Ultimate Enforcer livery that it has, it's like, again, one of the last unlocks that you get in the game. But it's mid. It doesn't really have that much notable for it, except for the paint scheme and the killer engine noise.
Not as stiff as the GTR. However, it has a better top speed at the cost of acceleration and durability. You can swap the two depending on your preference. Me personally, I prefer the R8, so that's why I put it higher. Alright.
Yeah, I probably should have put it lower now that I think about it. Again, I don't want to say that there's like a bad car in this game, but the Audi R8 probably should have been near the lower half of the list.
Now is when we start to turn the curve from the average good cars to the good cars. And starting things off, at number 11, we have the Porsche 959.
Another very underrated car, in my opinion. Actually drove this car again recently in Forza, and now Forza and Need for Speed, they're two completely different animals here, but the acceleration between the two games, at least, Forza doesn't have nitrous. Compared between the two games, it's pretty similar, and the 959 accelerates pretty fast. And it also, is probably still probably is the best car for using, still probably the best supercar to use for shortcuts, because that ground clearance is probably the best in the tier. Again, you could just barely clear 200 miles an hour with this car, and it's, everything else about it is solid, I don't know what else to say. It's a good car. I don't know why people don't give this car, like, the credit it deserves.
Personally, I feel like this car is kind of slept on. On the surface, the car doesn't really have anything that stands out about it. Sure, it's acceleration, handling, top speed, durability, they're all pretty solid.
Oh man, that was like complete carnage going through that corner now that I remembered. Like, there's just one traffic car and it takes out like half of my opposition.
Handling, top speed, durability, they're all
look at
solid.
that. It was a miracle for, the AI that I didn't hit one of them.
Thanks to its high ride height, the 959 is the best supercar to use for off-road shortcuts.
Yeah, not to mention that it's all-wheel drive as well, so great for using on shortcuts.
If you can use this to your advantage, you'll be able to pull off some insane jukes in Most Wanted rounds. Maybe not as good for Most Wanted or race rounds, but definitely if you like playing Most Wanted...
Not good outside of Most Wanted. That's what I meant to say there.
Most Wanted or race rounds, but definitely if you like playing Most Wanted, I would suggest giving this car a try. Just above that, we have another Porsche, the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Quite possibly the easiest car in the tier to drive, and for...
Excuse me. That is still true. You know, this car has... Oh, man, sorry. I got something... I don't know what fell in my throat there. Probably a speck of dust. But this car is still... It still has, in my opinion at least, the best handling in the supercar tier. I mean, it's the GT3 RS. It's a car known to handle well. Sorry, I had to hydrate there. Suppress whatever that was that caused me to cough. But yeah, this car... it's, again, the best handling car in the game, in my opinion. Or, not the game, in the supercar tier. You could argue and say that the SL65 is better, but I just feel like the SL65 is a bit more oversteered. This thing is way more controlled with its handling.
Good reason. It has very smooth and responsive handling. It also has very good acceleration and nitrous, which you kind of wouldn't expect from this car, looking at its base stats. The only real bad things I'd say about this car is its base top speed is not very high, and its durability could definitely leave a little bit to be desired. Other than that, it's still a very solid car, and definitely one worth using. Coming in at number 9, we have the Lamborghini Countach. Now, this car is very...
I'm not sure if I feel like this is, again, another car that I felt like I put in the right spot. Some people say that this car is actually, like, one of the best in the tier. You know, I think I could kind of see it, but at the same time, the car, one of the weakest, like, raw top speeds in the tier. In fact, I'm not sure if it's like around the area of the Porsche Panamera, which is not good. The nitrous carries this car. But, you know, other than that, and probably it's like weak melee durability, you know, if you slam this thing enough, it goes down very, very fast. But other than that, I'd still say it's a solid car.
Really interesting because it functions pretty similarly to the SL65, which, spoiler alert, is a car that is much higher up on the list. Unfortunately, the Countach has one serious flaw, and that is its durability. It is one of, if not the worst in its tier.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was sort of like, I said that because it was a classic car, which, again, kind of true. Still, I'm not sure if it's better or worse than some of the other cars in the tier, but it's pretty bad, you know. It can't take a lot of, like, side slams.
Raw top speed also leaves a little bit to be desired compared to others in its tier, but that's where the negatives end. This car has a very, very strong nitrous boost that completely negates its low raw top speed. Its acceleration is also slightly better than the SL65's, and it handles very smoothly, again, like other cars that are this high up on the list. One could say that this is a worse version of the SL65, but I don't think that's saying much given how great both cars are. Next up, we have the Ford Shelby GT.
Yeah, again, if it's a baby version of the SL65, it's generally still a good car. Although I'd say in this case, you know, with the retrospective of having played this game for another year and a half, you know, minus the break that I've taken, I'd still say that I would say that the V12 Vantage is probably a better fit for that title.
Saying much given how great both cars are. Next up, we have the Ford Shelby GT500 Super Snake. Now, I may be a bit biased with this pick because I love this particular generation of Mustangs, but my list, my video, blah blah blah. All that aside, The Super Snake is a powerful vehicle that I feel doesn't really get the respect it deserves compared to other cars in the tier. The car has very strong acceleration, top speed, nitro, and durability.
Yeah, almost a jack of all trades car here, except for that screen rumbling handling that, every time you drift, it feels like you're in the middle of a 9.0 earthquake.
That all sounds fine until you drift it. Among its strengths, it also has the strongest oversteer out of any car in the tier. So strong, in fact, that you can actually feel your screen shaking when this thing drifts. Personally, I don't think that's much of a problem, because it makes the car easier to drive compared to a car with understeer.
You know what they say, what Hammond said, now oversteer is better because you don't see the tree that kills you.
Poor Speedster.
Yeah, I hated the Speedster at the time, but again, I cut it a little bit of slack having driven it a little bit more recently.
The other stats offset this flaw. We're 2/3 of the way through this list. I'm willing to bet you didn't expect this car to be up this high. The Turbo S is the first car that you get your hand.
Yeah, one of the few cases where like the starter car is actually a solid option. I can't really say the same for the other two tiers that I ranked. The CCX is literally, in my opinion at least, the worst hypercar. And the Bentley, I've driven it a little bit more recently, but I'd still say it's near the bottom of the list. Again, not saying either car is bad, it's just that compared to the others, I don't find them to be as rewarding or as... what term was I going to use? It was on the tip of my tongue. It doesn't feel as satisfying to drive either of them.
In the supercar category as a racer, you might have driven it once and immediately went to another car like, say, the Gallardo, for example, after just one race. But if you stuck with it, you knew. This car was strong. The car is a solid all-rounder with good acceleration, decent top speed, decent handling, above average durability and nitro. This car, you could consider it the tier 3 equivalent of the 911 GT2 RS, which is a very strong car in the exotic tier.
Yep, I kind of believe that, except for the fact that the Turbo S doesn't have the very, very unpredictable handling of the GT2 RS. It has good acceleration, like the above average top speed. Nitrous is solid, durability is solid. The handling, again, I'd say it's better on this car than the GT2 RS. So, yeah, overall. But yeah, the GT2 RS takes more skill, thus more rewarding to drive. And, there's still 6 other cars above this.
Which is kind of ironic, given this is the first car you unlock in the supercar tier, and the GT2 RS is one of the last cars you unlock in the exotic tier. If you haven't driven it in a while, I definitely recommend giving it another go. Promise you, you won't be disappointed. Speaking of the Gallardo, at number 6, we have the Gallardo and the Gallardo Spider. I'm lumping these two together because they're pretty much the same car.
Yeah, this is, again, another solid option here. It's pretty similar, except for, I feel like it has a slightly better top speed at the expense of, like, one of its other stats. I forgot what might have been handling or durability. But yeah, this car, very solid option.
Gallardo is another good all-rounder like the Turbo S. The car has average acceleration, handling, and durability characteristics, but it has a strong top speed and nitrous compared to others in its tier. There are 2 other Gallardos that...
Again, surprising considering this is like one of the first cars that you unlock as both a racer and a cop.
I didn't mention yet, but that's because they're technically different cars and I put them higher up on the list, and you'll see later as to why. The base Gallardo, still a good car, definitely a solid choice whether you're a new or experienced player. We've reached the top 5, and quite honestly, I wasn't expecting this car to be as good.
Yep, I was trolling people when I did this one.
As it was until I drove it. Now the Grand Sport... Oh, hold on a second, I had the cars swapped around. Whoops. The Z06 is everything that the Grand Sport wished it was. Good acceleration, very smooth handling, solid top speed, and a good nitrous boost. And to top it off, a very strong durability, which you wouldn't expect from a car that has the tagline, the lightest Corvette ever. Honestly, the car doesn't look like much on the surface, but once you drive it, you'll quickly understand why I put it this high. It is such a satisfying car to drive.
Again, a very underrated machine. I feel like driving this thing tonight.
Trust me. Now, honestly, I had a tough time deciding which cars to put in 3 and 4, and you could probably interchange them if you want. But at number 4, I'm giving it to the Gallardo 550-2, also known as the Valentino Balboni. Now, compared to the base...
Yeah, the drift car Lamborghini, because, you know, this thing is rear-wheel drive only. But that means, you know, it drifts a lot easier. And funnily enough, it actually has the same top speed as the SL65, but I'd say, again, like the GT3 RS has slightly better handling, more controllable, and yeah, way better acceleration. In fact, I'd say that the SL65, that's its weak link, its acceleration.
This car isn't as fast or accelerate as fast as it, given it's a two-wheel drive car, but in exchange for that, it has much better handling. It can drift through corners like butter. Its nitro and durability are on par with the Gallardo, but because of its handling and thus how easier it is to drive, I put it higher than the base Gallardo. There's a reason why this car is one of the last supercars you unlock.
And I stand by that.
The grind to get it, for a car as good as it is, it's worth it. At number 3, the bronze medal. Again, you could probably interchange the two, but in my opinion, the Superleggera slightly edges out the 550-2 in terms of stat balancing. And like the 550-2, the Superleggera is slightly slower than the base Gallardo.
By like 1 mile an hour, but everything else about this car gets a slight boost.
By 1 mile per hour. But of all the Gallardos...
I forgot that I pointed that out back then. I thought that was just something that I realized now.
Gallardo. By 1 mile per hour. But of all the Gallardos, the Superleggera has the strongest acceleration. Also has very strong handling. Maybe not as good as the 550-2s, but definitely better than the base Gallardos. It also has the strongest durability and nitrous boost out of all the Gallardos. So overall, I think the Superleggera is not just the best Gallardo variant in the game, but also one of the best supercars outright. And with that, that's our number 3 spot. Now we're down to the final 2. The 2 strongest supercars in the game. And at number 2 is the Porsche 918. So fun fact for those of you who haven't played the original Hot Pursuit 2010, this was the original final unlock for the supercar category. The grind was worth it. This car, it has pretty much everything you'd want from a final unlock in this game. One of the best accelerations in the entire tier. Some of the smoothest handling in this entire tier.
Yeah, notice how I drifted through that corner pretty well? Also, this car is just... You don't see things like this in video games anymore. Like, or made in general. Like, the 918 was, like, one of the innovators for supercars or even hypercars. Because I'm pretty sure that the factory-produced 918, not the concept study, the 918 Spider that was made, you know, as a production car, that it was classed as a hypercar just because it blew most other cars out of the water with its specifications. Yeah, it was part of the grand holy trinity of hypercars, which I'm trying to think well, I think the McLaren F1, that was, I guess, you know, the P1's successor, but you didn't have any Ferraris in this game.
Strong nitrous boost, good top speed. The only downside of this car is its durability. It's not really that strong.
Yeah, that's... I feel like that's one downside of, like, having a convertible car like this. Just, like, it feels a little bit... doesn't feel as strong, but everything else about this car is still solid. And that engine noise that this thing makes, I don't. It's hard to tell sometimes if it's a V8 or a V10. Of course, in hindsight, I know it's a V8, but still, it sounds amazing.
But when all of its other stats are great, does it really need it? This car could outrun the cops with ease, and quite fittingly, because this car is a racer exclusive vehicle. I don't know how many times I've said it in this video, but if you haven't driven this car, definitely give it a go. It is one of the most satisfying cars in this game to drive. Period.
Yeah, and there's a reason it was the last car. There was a reason it was the last supercar you unlocked in the original Hot Pursuit.
And at number 1, the best supercar in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, we have the Mercedes-Benz SL65 AMG Black Series.
I mean, was it really a competition? This car is busted. It was overpowered. It should have been in the exotic tier.
Where do I start with this car? Oh, it is insane. I'll give it that. Like with the 918 before, you had to grind a decent amount to get this car because this was the second to last supercar that you unlocked in the game before DLC cars. And once you unlocked it, oh man, were you in for a treat because this car, I don't know how else to say it, is the best supercar in the game. First off, very strong nitrous boost. It has one of, if not the most powerful nitrous boost in the entire tier. This compensates for the fact that this car, it doesn't have the best acceleration. It's not bad, but it's certainly not great. Its nitrous helps the car get up to speed very quickly. Second, this car has a very high top speed. It may only list 199 miles an hour in the car select screen, but when you actually race with this thing, especially when you're using your nitrous, you'll see that you'll be easily able to go past it.
Not to mention, this car only has 5 gears and a very low rev limiter compared to the other supercars. It caps out at 6,000 RPM, which again, it makes it feel like it gets up to, even though it has slow acceleration, it feels like it gets up to speed very fast if you use nitrous.
Third, the handling. This car handles like butter. I know it may seem like I said that a lot in this video, but hear me out. This car, you'll be easily able to drift through any corner in this game using the SL65. And to top it off, its durability. This car is extremely durable. If you're skilled enough and you take this car in a Hot Pursuit or Most Wanted, you will survive. Not only is this car fast, but it can take quite a few hits. Did I mention that this car sounds like V12 Thunder? Here, take a quick listen to the engine sound real quick.
Well, it kind of helps there that I was in a night. I was on a night track during the middle of a thunderstorm, but that still doesn't take away from my point. It has one of the best engine noises in the game.
If that is not enough to convince you, then take this car out and drive it. And then you will very quickly see why this car is the #1 supercar in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. And with that, that concludes this list.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna exit out of full screen and see what other people had to say in regards to this. Yeah, I'd like to say that the V12 Vantage drifts forever and has insane top speed potential outside his base top speed. I would agree with that. I have a little over a year more of experience with this game now, but yeah, I should have. If I made the list today, I definitely would have put it a little bit higher. And your video stands out because you aren't desperate to rank it in order. Well, other than the SL65, because it's the undisputed king of the game, or not the game, of the supercar category. Yeah, just watch the World War videos. I don't really pay attention to that. I don't really care about setting times on tracks. Most of the time when you're in multiplayer, I kind of base this a little bit off multiplayer. It's just like, you're gonna have a lot more independent variables in multiplayer compared to, you know, when you're doing it in single player. You just have to pay attention to traffic patterns, and, you know, the cops aren't nearly as aggressive. They aren't nearly as aggressive in the single player as opposed to like some of the players that you come across. Let's see. Let's see what this guy had to rank. Valentino Balboni. Almost a pretty similar ranking. It's just, yeah, again, I definitely would have put the V12 Vantage up a little bit higher. The 911 Speedster, though, thing is unstoppable in the straights, but the problem is it takes like half a century to get it up to top speed. Unless you do the nitrous turbo nitrous thing, which you can only really do that on like 1, 2, maybe 3 stretches of track in the game. Yeah, I would agree that Grand Sport is horrible. Again, that should have been the bottom of the list. 9.5. I wouldn't say the 959 is bad though. Yeah, you forgot the Panamera Man. I guess they didn't watch all the way through. 911 Speedster is not that bad. Again, it's not that bad, but I still did not find it a pleasant driving experience at the time or now. All right, next up is the shortest list of the mix. Again, the reason I did this one first was because the supercar category was probably my favorite at the time. Probably still is. Because, like, in comparison to the exotics, it's just that, you know, you don't really... You have more cars, but at the same time, you don't really see it that often in multiplayer. Which makes the lobbies that you get with supercars a little bit more valuable. At least at the time. Nowadays, you'll find supercar lobbies pretty commonly, and oftentimes you'll find a D-bag running around in an SL65, which I feel like I might have contributed to like spreading its reputation around as like this overpowered noob. Not to say it's a noob car. It does have a skill ceiling, but it's just that it's very easy to drive and there's very few other cars that could catch up to that. Hey Destroyer 726. What do you think about Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012? I like it. What do you think? GG. Well, I'd say I enjoyed playing it. In fact, you know, it had probably one of, if not, okay, maybe not exactly my favorite car list, but it was definitely one of my favorite car lists. The only real thing that I don't really like about it is like how sensitive the crash cameras were, and you know, some people say that it's burnout with a Need for Speed skin. Like, whatever, dude. I don't really care that it's burnout with a Need for Speed skin. In fact, that makes it a little bit more fun in my opinion. But the graphics on that game, it's hard. It was kind of difficult to beat them. In fact, they aged like fine wine, kind of like this game. The car list, again, one of the best in my opinion. And I don't think enough people give it credit for following the original Most Wanted skeleton of gameplay because, okay, I mean, you don't have the story element to it, but you're still progressing up the blacklist. Which, again, I feel like they did that. They translated that pretty well. Anyways, let's move on to the shortest list of that I made. Probably... I was gonna say the most controversial, but no, that's the next one. That's the one after. That's the exotic list. But anyways, let's go on to the hypercars, which honestly was probably the easiest for me because again, you have the shortest. It has the shortest car list compared to every other tier in the game. All right, let's skip this ad.
Exodus for 5-0.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, I don't care about. You're not going to make me... make me want to watch ads. All right, I'm gonna lower my volume a little bit because I know that my volume.
Guys, I'm Exodus.
Okay, actually, it was quite solid with the volume this time.
Second of 3 ranking videos I'll be doing for Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Yeah, I just love how I start this video by ramming the back of this Apollo and taking it to half health.
50, and welcome to the second of 3 ranking videos I'll be doing for Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Today, I'm going to be ranking every hypercar from worst to best. Now, like the last video, I want to emphasize...
I would have said that, honestly, I would have said it's my favorite tier in the game. You know, it has probably like the most amount of favorites out of any car in the tier. In fact, I'd say that I like every car in the hypercar tier. I might sound like a car kid, you know, that foams over. I might sound like a kid foamer over that, you know, the car equivalent of a rail fan foamer when I say that, but all the cars they look good, maybe not necessarily sound good, but they certainly perform good.
Emphasize that this is based partially on my opinion and a lot on my personal experience in the game.
Again, personal experience had a lot to do with these lists.
As such, we're not going to have 100% identical lists. We all value different aspects with cars in this game, and for me, it comes down to 3 things. 1, how easy the car is to drive. 2, how rewarding it is to master. And 3, just how good its stats are overall. There are only 7 individual hypercars in Hot Pursuit, so this is going to be a short one. Without further ado, let's jump into the list. Starting things off at number 7, we have the Koenigsegg CCX. Now, I want to say something before you guys hit the dislike button on me. This car is not bad, guys. There's only 7 cars in the tier, and all of them are viable in one way or another. But someone...
Yeah, I had to emphasize that for like every video that I did for this. You know, all the cars are usable. It just depends on, like, you know, your own traits. It's just that for me, the CCX was probably the one I struggled with driving the most. Again, this is the starter. And I feel like being the starter car had to contribute to that because its acceleration was actually pretty good. Its nitrous boost is also pretty good. Top speed, handling they were not good compared to others in the tier. I mean, top speed without nitrous, at least. Without nitrous, it's not good, but with, it's actually kind of viable. And its durability is like mid. So yeah, I still kind of stand by this one by putting it down at the bottom. And I remember receiving a comment on this is like one of them. Some people say that the CCX is like at the top, which should be second. No, I'm sorry, but I did not enjoy driving this thing. Even when I was making the video, granted, this was all just past footage that I took, you know, from my hypercar spotlights, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did a spotlight on every single hypercar, which I can't exactly claim for every tier in the game. You know, I did sort of quit halfway through because I was getting... Sorry, guys. Sky was singing there again. She probably wanted me to give her some attention. But anyways, again, I want to say that the car is not bad. It's just that I don't like driving it. Again, the handling on this car was like not good. And I don't know why people said that the Agera was worse than this, because the acceleration is like as good. Its nitrous might not have been as good, but its handling is a way more tolerable than the CCX. A little bit more unpredictable, sure, but at least you could actually take this thing. At least you could actually take the Agera through a corner without, you know, going into the outside wall.
Now, I want to say something before you guys hit the dislike button on me. This car is not bad, guys. There's only 7 cars in the tier, and all of them are viable in one way or another. But someone's got to be at the bottom, and in my opinion, the CCX, your starter car in the hypercar tier, is the car with the weakest legs to stand on. or in car terms, the weakest wheels to drive on. If you guys saw my last video where I ranked every supercar from worst to best, you'll know that I despise driving cars with bad handling. And unfortunately for the CCX, it has quite possibly the most unforgiving handling in the hypercar tier.
That, again, I still stand by that take that I made.
Not to mention, the raw top speed of this car is low compared to the rest of the tier, and its durability is middle of the road at best. However, the car makes up for it with strong acceleration and a very powerful nitrous boost, almost on par with the McLaren F1. But because of how low its raw speed is and how unforgiving its handling is, I deem it the worst hypercar in Hot Pursuit. I know it may seem a bit predictable to put the starter car at the bottom, but that doesn't change my view. The CCX is the worst car in the tier. Just above the CCX at number 6, we have the Bugatti Veyron, and because they...
Oh, I hated that I had to do this, because, you know me, the Veyron's probably... The Veyron Super Sport is my favorite car in the game, period. And the Veyron is still probably top 5 for me, but having to put it like the second worst in the game just killed my soul. Yeah, again, I was not going to give this car any bias because it was not like the CCX. It's not a very fun driving experience. Granted, it might be a good bodyguard car, but it's still not good. The handling of this thing is absolutely... I'm not sure which is actually worse in terms of handling, this or the CCX or the Veyron Super Sport. But at least the Veyron Super Sport has like the highest raw top speed in the tier, as well as like a very I'm not sure if it's the strongest acceleration. It's certainly up there though, and its durability is as good, if not better than the 16.4 here. Again, I love this car, but I was not gonna excuse its looks for, you know, its absolutely abysmal driving experience. Again, it's viable, just not... It's not easy to drive. And the skill curve required to drive this thing properly is just not ideal for, like, a new player. There's a reason why this car is, like, one of the last ones that you unlock. Because, you know, driving this thing well is a test of skill.
They drive exactly the same. The CCX at number 6, we have the Bugatti Veyron, and because they drive exactly the same, I'm lumping in the Grand Sport. Now, I really didn't want to put the car down this low, because I love the Bugatti Veyron, but
in fact, I'm pretty sure this is like one of the only hypercar in this game that I've seen in real life.
Favoritism aside, it is weaker compared to the other cars in this tier. I will say that it is better than the CCX in almost every way except Nitro. The top speed and durability of this car is some of the highest for the tier. Its acceleration is better than the CCX, but it has weaker Nitro. However, what kills this car, like the CCX, is its handling. Because of how heavy it is, this car understeers significantly until your drift angle is almost sideways. However, the better stat balancing overall gives it a slot above the CCX. I also want you guys to keep in mind that even though that we're at the bottom of this list, these cars are still viable in one way or another if you know what you're doing.
I would say that this car and the Veyron Super Sport, they're like the bodyguard cars to use in this game. I mean, unless you're driving the F1, which, spoiler alert, I still think is the best car in the tier.
Cracking into the top 5 now, guys. At number 5, we have the Koenigsegg CCXR. This car is basically the Zonda Cinque of the hypercars. Very strong acceleration, top speed, and handling, brought down by lower durability and the weakest nitrous boost in the tier. This car is better for races than it is for pursuit modes, but if you know what you're doing, you get some work done in Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted. It's also worth noting that this car is the only unmarked police car in the game, so it has a bit of coolness factor to it, but in terms of performance in the grand scheme of hypercars, I'm going to call it mid-tier. I'm going to say number 5 is a fair spot for it. At number 4...
Yeah, I still kind of stand by that statement, you know.
We have the Koenigsegg Agera, the last Koenigsegg on this list, and in my opinion, the most powerful. Now, I was debating on whether or not to put this above or below the CCXR, but after driving it, I decided that the Agera slightly edges it out. Both cars have similar acceleration, top speed, and durability, however where they differ is in the handling and nitrous. The CCXR has better handling, but worse nitrous. However, the
Oh man, I just
nitrous.
the way that I knocked that F1 out there is just
The CCXR has better
comedy
handling,
gold.
but worse
Yeah, look at the top.
nitrous.
I'm surprised that he didn't end up getting busted from that.
The Agera, it has better nitrous, but far more twitchy handling. It's still incredibly tight if you know what you're doing, but that's the thing. You have to be incredibly skilled to drive this car effectively. In fact, this car has one of the steepest skill curves in the game.
Yeah. I still stand by that. It's just that, you know, the twitchy handling of this car makes it hard to drive, but all the more rewarding to master, unlike some other cars in the tier. Okay, hey Igniter, the CCX I understand, although I am shocked on how some pros manage to master it for personal best world records. Yeah, I kind of feel that as well. It's just that the CCX is like, it's similar to the Agera in that it has a higher skill curve, but the Agera's is slightly more manageable, but the CCX, you know, the higher top speed and nitro, I don't know. I still feel like the Agera is a lot more pleasant to drive.
But if you can learn how to control and master this car, you will be rewarded with one of the most powerful cars in the hypercar tier. At number 3, and oh boy are you gonna call me out for this one, we have the Bugatti Veyron Supersport. Now I may be a little bit biased because this is my favorite car in the game, but after comparing it
This still is.
to other cars in the tier, I decided number 3 was the perfect spot for it. It has the highest raw top speed in the tier, however keep in mind that, like its real-life counterpart, it is electronically capped at 258 miles an hour, so even with nitrous, you'll be limited to 258 miles an hour. That's just how...
That's rather unfortunate, but, you know, probably would be completely broken if it didn't have that speed limiter on it.
It is, unfortunately, but it's still very fast. Its acceleration and nitrous boost are noticeably better when compared to the original Veyron. However, like the Veyron, it's still a heavyweight, thus very strong durability, very unresponsive and unpredictable handling. This car is like the Agera in that it has a very steep learning curve, but being able to drive it well is testament to a skilled player.
Yeah, you notice how, like, most of the hypercars, they're hard to drive? That makes sense since it's the last tier in the game that you unlock.
As the second to last hypercar you unlock, it is a strong option and a rewarding one to master. Now there's only 2 cars left, guys, and honestly, I had a very difficult time deciding which to put in which spot, because both of these cars are extremely overpowered. But I'm gonna do it. At number 2, we have the Gumpert Apollo S. Oh boy. The Apollo is the last car you get your hands on in this game, and quite honestly, it is worth the grind. This car, unlike almost every other car on the list, is extremely easy to drive, has very responsive and predictable handling, allowing you to drift through corners like it's nothing. Also, for being a rear-wheel drive V8 powered vehicle, it accelerates extremely quickly.
I feel like part of that has to do with the nitrous boost, though. The acceleration is listed as probably one of the worst in the tier. Although, I might be wrong there. Someone can feel free to fact check me on that later. But still, it feels like the nitrous of this thing is what carries it.
Even without nitrous, and with nitrous, well, it's completely broken. Exiting out of corners with this car is basically a cheat code. You lose very little speed going through said corner, and when you exit out, the combination of strong acceleration and nitrous basically allows you to leave everyone else in the dust.
Can I also get credit here for this extremely brutal sandwich bust that I pulled? This was my personal record, I believe, for end of the line.
You lose very little speed going through said corner, and when you exit out, the combination of strong acceleration and nitrous basically allows you to leave everyone else in the dust. This car may have a low raw top speed, but even without nitrous it could easily blaze past it, and with nitrous, Well, I shouldn't even have to say anything. Now, it may sound like this car is the greatest thing since sliced bread. However, there is one huge problem with this car, and that is its durability. It is, say it with me, the weakest in the tier. Going into Most Wanted with this car is basically like taking a knife to a gunfight. You may be more agile than the competition, but the competition can hit way harder.
Yep, that's still true. And now I want to say that the story that I said here, it's still, again, it's true. I did actually manage to pull this, let alone on the family PC, which is like, that's a feat right there, because I was capped out at like 15, 30 FPS.
That's not to say that driving this car in pursuit modes is an impossible task. In fact, I'd argue it's quite the opposite. It just takes a lot of skill. Now, this was before my YouTube career, and I don't have any footage of this particular event, so I'm asking you guys to just take my word for it, okay?
Yeah, just trust me, bro.
Okay. I was able to solo an entire police team in Most Wanted, as the Most Wanted, in this car. And if that wasn't crazy enough, every other racer in the session got taken out. So it was truly a final stand, fight for my life against all odds situation.
Yeah, again, that bias might have played a little bit of part there, because I think the only other car that I've ever done something similar to that with was the Porsche GT2 RS. But again, that's still a testament to how great this car is. Again, there's a reason that it's the last thing that you unlock in the game. Well, I mean, besides level 20, I think it's level 20 as a police. Besides max level.
And this car got me through it. If that doesn't say how incredible this car is, I don't know what will. There's a reason why this car is the last one you unlock. However, there is still one car left, and that leads us to our number one spot. Ladies and gentlemen, the number one hypercar in Hot Pursuit. We don't even need a drum roll. It's the McLaren F1. Oh, man. While the Apollo is a great car, the F1 edges it out. Both cars sacrifice one of its stats for incredible stats everywhere else.
Yeah, I'd say this car was the SL65 of the hypercars, both like in terms of how it drives and no, it's just in how it drives. I guess also the fact that they're both powered by a V12 engine.
In F1's case, it has the slowest acceleration in the tier, but all of its other stats are phenomenal. Its top speed when combined with nitrous is one of the highest in the tier. Its durability is one of the best in the tier. Its nitrous and handling are the best in the tier. Did I mention that the BMW V12 in this thing sounds like a nest of killer hornets?
Yeah, the engine sounds in the hypercar tier are honestly pretty weak, but this car somehow managed to beat that allegation. One of the most legendary cars of all time as well.
The race time potential for this car is off the charts. And in online pursuit modes, you're almost guaranteed to see at least one other player running this car. And that's not just because the hypercar selection is limited, I mean there's only 7 cars, but it's also because of how powerful this car is. I rest my case. The McLaren F1 is the best hypercar in the game. And that's the end of the list, ladies and
gentlemen. Yeah, that's probably one list that I'll, like, word for word, bar for bar, that I 100% still have that same opinion towards. And again, like, quite a few people here disagreed, but, it doesn't really matter. It was my opinion, my experience, so yeah, it shouldn't be. I didn't intend for this to be like a fastest car list, even though in a way that's sort of, with me putting the McLaren F1 the fastest, at least from my experience, the car with the highest recorded top speed in the game, it still kind of fell into that, but I didn't mean for it to be fastest car. It was like best based on my experience. Yeah, what else here? Yeah, I know some people were asking, like, where's the SLR when I made my original, when I made my exotic list? I had to say, if they were in the remastered version, I would have put them there, but unfortunately they weren't. Everything else does not matter except for Veyron SS for one single race named Razor's Edge. Yeah, Veyron. I'm sorry to say it. The Veyron, for like being one of my favorite cars, is probably is still like one of the worst in the tier, and it killed me to put it there. Yeah, I'm guessing the F1 in Hot Pursuit 2 was like broken in that game as well. Yeah, the CCX being last, you gotta be joking. It can literally tear up the roads, especially in Hot Pursuit. Sorry, but the skill curve required to master driving that thing, it's not it's not worth it for like how, at least in my opinion, not worth it for how disappointing the driving experience is. Apollo is worse because it has bad handling. What? Yeah, I'm like, it does not have bad handling. It's, again, one of the easier cars to drive in the tier. Yeah, I'm like, I share these guys' opinions. Because, like, I don't know how. All right, now for the last one and probably the most controversial one.
What a ride it's been. Hello,
all right, gotta lower the volume again.
That's Exodus back with the final video for the Hot Pursuit ranking series. In this video, I'll be ranking every exotic car from Hot Pursuit from worst to best. Now, I said this before in the last video, but I'll say it again. This list is based on my personal experience with the game.
Yeah, the red text here, guys. Gotta emphasize it.
As such, we're not gonna have 100% identical lists. I made 2 other videos for the series where I did the same thing for tiers 3 and 5. If you have the time, feel free to go check them out, as they may give you some more insight into how I rank the cars in this series. And without further ado, grab some popcorn or your pitchforks if you disagree with my takes, and let's jump into the list. Starting things off at number 14, the worst exotic car in Hot Pursuit, we have the Bentley Continental Super Sports. How predictable. One of the first exotic cars you get your hands on in this game. It is not good, and once you unlock something else, you immediately left this car behind and you never look back.
Well, I know one person in my chat who didn't do that, and honestly, credit to them, but I'd still not the biggest fan of this car. You know, later, might have been my own bias shining through here, but I'm not a fan of the looks of this car. And driving it, you know, it's a boat car, you know, probably good for most wanted as like a bodyguard car. But other than that, I mean, you probably could, you know, if you're skilled enough, again, you could drive really any car in the game well. But for me, this car was not, at least when I made this list, it was not a pleasant driving experience.
Now, full opinion disclosure here, I do not like the look of the Bentley Continental Super Sports. I mean, just look at it.
Yeah, that front end, I was not a fan of it. How many times do I gotta say it?
So it already gets a bad rating for me for the eye test, but then looking at its performance stats, it is just atrocious. I'll give the car this. It's a decently powerful tank, very strong durability, and a decent nitrous boost. But that's where the positives end. This car has average top speed, sluggish acceleration, and it handles like a freaking boat.
Actually, that might have been a little bit biased there. The car is not it doesn't handle as bad as I made it look in this video, but it's still not, again, it's not easy to handle because it's sluggish. The acceleration is actually, you know, decent. In fact, I'd probably, you know, if I wasn't so biased against the car at the time, I probably would have ranked it a little bit higher. But again, I did not have fun driving this car at the time.
Trying to steer or drift with this car is like trying to carry around a full office cabinet. Now, the car is decent for most wanted, I'll give it that. Its high durability makes it useful for cops, bodyguards, and the most wanted alike. But there are other cars in the tier that are better in almost every way. This is my least favorite exotic in the game, and combined with its unimpressive performance, I deem it the worst exotic in Hot Pursuit.
Actually, I'm not even sure what I'd put as like the worst anymore because, again, all the cars in this game are drivable. It's just that, you know, preferences. Now, this car, I'm not. Again, I feel like I'm not sure whether I'd put it higher or lower. This is like a case where like the handling of this car was too good.
At number 13, we have the McLaren 12C. Now, the 12C is like the McLaren F1's younger, mentally challenged brother. It shares many characteristics with the F1, namely its high top speed, bad acceleration, and good handling. Now, I'm doing air quotes around good handling because this car has an extreme tendency to oversteer, meaning you'll turn a huge amount with little input, but you'll lose a stupid amount of speed.
That's not actually true. It's just that, you know, you have to fight to prevent this thing from going into the inside wall as opposed to understeer where you have to prevent it from going, like, into the outside wall. I promise that made sense.
Plus, unlike the F1, the 12C's durability is average at best, and its nitrous isn't all that good. Its top speed might be good enough to be competitive, but you almost never reach it unless you're going down Memorial Highway or 3 Points Road.
Yeah, again, I feel like, again, I kind of struggled to rank some of these cars because, you know, the driving characteristics at the time felt like, and again, I was also partially going off the wiki page for this, and it said it had slow acceleration. It felt slow compared to some of the other cars. So, again, kind of put it down near the bottom.
12C, I love you, but you're second to last. Now, if you haven't grabbed your pitchforks and torches yet, this might be where you go, because at number 12, I genuinely don't understand why people like this car. At number 12, we have the Dodge Viper ACR.
Yeah, I know. And today, I still don't understand why people hold this car in such high regards. In fact, if I made the list today, I probably would have put it at the bottom just out of spite. But, you know, I gave it a chance, you know. It's not necessarily bad, again, if you know how to micro drift, but I don't. In fact, I got a recent comment on this video, and it's like, where was it? It was down near the... Okay, well, this guy actually supported my opinion. It's like 346 skill issue. Bro's not good at the game. How many people actually made it to max level on both the cop and the racer? Yeah, know who you're talking to before you say bro's not good at the game. And again, skill issues. Yeah, you can say whatever you want, but it's not going to change my experience on or opinion on the car. Yes, again, even after driving this thing for like an hour straight, not a fan, don't understand why, like, people, again, micro drifting, get good, Exodus, I don't care. The car was not fun to drive. I rest my case.
Now I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this, but hear me out. The ACR is a decent car on paper. Good acceleration, handling, nitrous.
Yeah, the handling though is ugh.
Compensating for bad top speed and below average durability. However, this is another car with a severe oversteer tendency. Maybe it's just me, but when I try to drift down corners with this thing, I'm fighting for my life to keep this car from going into the wall. Now
both the inside and the outside wall, and I don't know what this guy was thinking here, but he was lucky that he didn't hit me with those spikes.
People in the comments section saying, "Oh, this is the car that all the pros use. You just haven't mastered it yet. You know, get good, Exodus." Look, I get this car has strong acceleration and nitrous. But this car, I'd rather take the Murcielago or the Carrera GT, which are infinitely easier to drive, and just have a better time in multiplayer with those cars. Again, the Dodge Viper ACR is not a bad car, but there are better options. And again, this is my list, my experience. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, at the time when I was driving this car, I was very, very unlucky. I think the only time I had like a decently good race or pursuit with this car was like was last stream. You know, like the first two races or pursuits.
Activated acquiring target log. EMP.
I would still do that.
At number 11, we have the Ford GT. Now this car is relatively similar to the 12C, except it has better acceleration and more controlled handling. Durability and speed-wise, they're similar. Again, the GT is easier to drive, thus I placed it a little bit higher.
Yeah, a little bit more manageable. Now this car, another overrated car. Honestly, this car feels... I probably shouldn't have put it this low, but it still feels like a mid-driving experience compared to everything else.
At number 10, we have the Lamborghini Diablo SV. Now I know I'm definitely going to cause a war in the comments with this one. I can already hear the Diablo fanboys saying, "This car is the best car for Most Wanted, you don't know what you're talking about!" Now,
yeah, sit down, stop typing, and listen.
unlike the Viper ACR, I can see where people are coming from with this one. The claims are that the car has all-around average stats and a powerful nitrous boost. But I just don't think that the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for.
Yeah, no, it's not
But
really.
I just don't think that the boost...
I think what happens here is, like, the boost, it drains the boost slower compared to the Carrera GT, which, let me actually, again, move my model to... I gotta move my model a lot for this stream. There, I'll just move it down there for now. But yeah, the boost on this thing, it drains...
around average stats and a powerful nitrous boost. But I just don't think that the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for. Now, I
Again, I might have had the video
will
slightly out of
acknowledge
line.
that the car is a pretty powerful as people give it nitrous boost.
Yeah,
But
let me
I
observe
just don't
this
think
real
that
quick.
the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for. Now,
Yeah, it's actually pretty decent, but the Carrera GT boost is still way more powerful. At least in the short term. I didn't actually look to see how fast they drained, but the Carrera GT is still way more powerful.
that the car has all-around average stats and a powerful nitrous boost. But I just don't think that the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for.
Actually, no, they drain around the same rate.
But I just don't think that the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for. Now, I will...
Yeah, I gotta quickly
The car has
observe this.
all-around average stats and a powerful nitrous boost.
Yeah, they start out around the same speed.
But I just don't think that the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for. But I just don't think that the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for.
Yeah, my point still stands. The Carrera G... Some people said that this thing was going up that it was going slow because I was going uphill here. But for a good amount of it, I wasn't, actually. It's around here, when I go up to the trees, is when...
But I just don't think that the boost is as powerful as people give it credit for.
Yeah, after I go past this telephone pole is when you start going uphill.
Now, I will acknowledge that the car has a pretty wild top speed, comparable to the Aston Martin 177. But the nitrous and durability aren't as good as every player claims. The handling and acceleration are average. Definitely not bad, but not the best. And at least the car sounds good.
Alright, I actually gotta pull my model back up real quick. I'll put myself over here again, just so y'all could see the speedometer when it's necessary. But yeah, Diablo, in my opinion, you know, not the best, not the worst. It's just, you know, a little bit overrated in my opinion, which is why I feel like that contributed as to why I ranked it lower compared to everything else in the tier. It just, you know, I still didn't. I probably should have placed it a little bit higher, but, you know, It's better than I give it credit for. And at least I didn't get as much heat for the Diablo's placement compared to the Viper. The Viper, apparently, for some reason, people just clamor for that car. But me, no. I thought back then, and I still think now that the Diablo SV is better than the Viper. And a lot more pleasant of a driving experience.
When you hit the accelerator.
Yes, and I will say this: I'm a living continuity error, because why the heck am I using Ace Combat Zero music when I was making this video? Well, because I was playing Ace Combat 7, and that song plays when it occasionally plays in a multiplayer match. So I decided to go look around the Ace Combat soundtrack, and that was like one of the highly rated songs. And for me, with a name like Diablo, it suits a song like that, you know? Might be just me, though.
Coming in at number 9, we have the Porsche Carrera GT. Now, this car doesn't look all that impressive on the surface, given it has...
Again, I feel like this car is underrated, and I think it's better than the Dodge Viper ACR.
It's the lowest raw top speed in the tier. But if you drive it and you can look past that low raw speed, all of its other stats are pretty good. Its acceleration and durability are alright, but it's where the car shines is in its handling and its nitrous. Its handling is one of the most responsive in the tier, and its nitrous is also...
Yeah, it's like... Porsche cars, like they're characterized by good handling in this game. I've started to notice.
So one of the most powerful in the tier. So even though this car has a low raw top speed, it can easily blaze past it if you're good at managing your nitrous and turbos. And this car also sounds great when you hit the accelerator. Give it a listen.
I feel like for best V10 engine sounds, it's between this and the LFA. I still think the LFA is better, but only by like a slim margin. This is still pretty solid.
At number 8, we have the Lamborghini Murcielago. One of Lamborghini's most iconic cars. This car is the true Tier 4 equal to the McLaren F1. Its acceleration is a bit on the slow side, but everything else is above average. Its speed is on the higher end of the exotics, its handling is manageable, and its nitrous boost is extremely powerful, one of the best in the tier. And its durability is also very good. This car is kind of slept on, honestly. Players do not give this car the recognition it deserves.
Well, at least back then. Nowadays, I see a lot of people rocking this car. Well, maybe not the convertible version that I was using here, but on the cop side, at least, it might be because, you know, it's one of the first ones that you unlock, and people, you know, they like the iconic Lamborghini. But for me, at least, you know, I see past all that, and, you know, I see a car with potential for, like, you know, good lap times and survivability.
But drive it, and you'll definitely see why it is in the upper half of Tier 4. At number 7,
hang on, I need to see what I said here.
You'll definitely see why it is in the upper half of Tier 4.
Yeah, I know. I'm not halfway through the list yet. I'm just saying it's one of the better cars on the list. Yeah, again, emphasizing this. No car is undrivable in this game. It's just that I found the Murcielago a little bit more easy of a driving experience compared to some of the others. And again, there is a skill curve with this thing.
At number 7, we're keeping this up with the Lamborghini theme here. We have the Sesto Elemento, a fragile but agile speed demon.
Well, at least until Rivals just removed the fragile part of it.
First thing, absolutely atrocious durability, the worst in the tier. But that's it.
Yeah, I was lucky with this clip here, like half health plus EMP plus full force ram equals instant death. Yeah, that was pure luck that I was able to get that one on camera.
Atrocious durability, the worst in the tier. But that's it. Everything else about this car is great. Stupid fast acceleration, responsive handling, very easy to drift, Its nitrous is pretty good, and its top speed is not bad for the tier. I've been seeing a lot of skilled players in Most Wanted use this car in particular, so if you're skilled enough to stay ahead, this car is definitely one worth using. At number 6, and oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this one, we have the Pagani Zonda Cinque.
Honestly, I didn't get as much flack for this placement as I thought I would have. I would have thought that, putting it outside the top 5, it would have caused a riot in the comments, because this car, the best engine sound in the game. But performance-wise, it's solid. Just, that nitrous boost on this car, the weakest in the tier, not as good, in comparison to the top 5.
Now, you may be shocked that this car is just outside the top 5, but there are 2 major problems with this car.
Oh, and also the fact that the durability on this car isn't very high.
Let's start off with the positives. First off, this car is possibly one of the easiest cars to drive in the tier. Its handling is very responsive. Its top speed is also very...
Again, I was not going to slip up. I was not going to stop crapping on the ACR on the 12C. I guess I hated the 12C. I'm a little bit more lenient toward the 12C, but the amount of people that I saw call me out on the Viper just made me dislike it even more.
Here, its handling is very responsive. Its top speed is also very good, and its acceleration is also very good. But unfortunately, this car has the weakest nitrous boost in Tier 4. Sure, the SCP version somewhat compensates as it has police spec nitrous, but this car is also very fragile. It's not as fragile as the Elemento, but it's still pretty...
Yeah, that all carbon fiber body on that thing makes it... carbon fiber is supposed to be strong, but, with how light it is, it just... It's like putting that car through a paper shredder if you send it in hot pursuit and you don't know what you're doing.
Pretty bad. Definitely a good car, but not one of the best. I will also mention that this car has, in my opinion, the best engine sound in the game. I will take a final stand on that hill. Cracking into the top 5 now, at number 5, we have the Chevrolet Corvette ZR1.
Yeah, the Corvettes, with the exception of the Grand Sport, they're surprisingly good in this game.
Now, this pick may surprise you, but I believe that this car is a slept-on vehicle. It is extremely durable, one of the best cars for pursuit modes. Very strong durability tagged along with above-average acceleration and top speed, not to mention a very powerful nitrous boost. I would argue that this car is very easy to handle.
I can't.
A very
what
powerful
happened here?
nitrous boost. I would argue that.
Wow, I did not realize that when I was recording this video. It's just like this random cop 12C that's halfway stuck between the wall and the track. That's funny there. That's funny right there.
That this car is very easy to handle. Sure, it has a bit of an oversteer tendency, but it is nowhere near as bad as the 12C or the ACR. I'm standing by this pick. I think the ZR1 is the most underrated car in the exotic tier.
Yeah, that's still a take that I have. That's still an opinion I have. Now, the SV here, after not having driven, this car for a while and driven the Murcielago a lot more, the base Murcielago, I would actually rank the SV lower. Again, let's hear what I had to say in the past.
At number 4, we have the Lamborghini Murcielago SV. The Merc's more balanced cousin, so to say. The SV has better acceleration, handling, and durability at the cost of slightly lower top speed and less powerful nitrous. Not much to
yeah, that's probably... My opinion on that kind of changed. I preferred having the higher top speed and the better nitrous. The handling between the two cars is actually pretty similar. It's just that, I would just prefer the Murcielago for the higher speed.
say on it, but still a great car. I will also mention that in terms of design, The SV is one of my favorite cars in the game. So yes, bias may have played a little part in the SV's placement, but in terms of performance and personal experience with the game, I still think that it is one of the best cars in the tier. At number 3...
Yeah, it's still, again, in the upper half, but probably not, like, top 5 material for me anymore.
We have the Aston Martin 177. Probably the most well-balanced car in the tier. There really isn't a flaw with this car. All of its stats are good. Good acceleration, good speed, decent nitrous.
Actually, I'm pretty sure this car has the highest raw top speed in the tier.
Easy to handle and very durable. Unfortunately, because it doesn't shine in one particular aspect, it can lose to other cars that specialize in a specific...
Yeah, the acceleration on the car. Again, with it being well balanced, the GT2 RS, which is it's the spot above. Accelerates way better, it's better on curvy tracks, but this thing would beat it if it was like on a track like that goes through 3 Points Road.
Stat. Like on short circuits, it will lose to the Elemento, which handles and accelerates better, and in pursuits, it can't take as much as the ZR1. But sometimes, it's better to be a jack of all trades than to specialize in one. And because of how well-rounded its stats are, the 177 is, in my opinion, the third best exotic car in the game.
Also, maybe, again, a little bit of bias towards this car. The name and the design kind of played a part in it, because 77, despite, me being Exodus 50, my old name up there, Exodus 77, 77 is my actual lucky number. 50 is, another one that I took up, but 77 was the original.
And now, at number 2, the second best exotic car in Hot Pursuit, we have the Porsche 911 GT2 RS. Now, before I go any further, let me just say that this car is a handful. Driving this car well and consistently is a challenge. But once you do, you'll very easily see why it is the second best car in Tier 4. First off, stupid fast acceleration, one of the best in the game. In fact, I'd argue and say it is on par with some of the hypercars.
I still stand by that one.
Unlike a car like, say, the Sesto Elemento, the GT2 RS is consistent with its acceleration from 0 to top speed. Its top speed and nitro are also some of the best in the tier, and its durability, while not the best, it's still very solid. But there is a catch. This car is extremely difficult to drive, and that is because of its extremely unpredictable handling.
It wasn't actually, driving it a lot more recently, it's not actually as bad as I made it sound like here. Granted, it's a little bit more it is still unpredictable. Granted, it's still unpredictable, but, it's manageable.
This car.
It's still manageable.
It somehow manages to have a combination of both understeer and oversteer.
But again, not as bad as the ACR.
And that makes it extremely difficult to drive. But once you master it, oh my goodness. You will wipe the floor in multiplayer. Once I drove it enough, this was the first car that I took into Most Wanted as the Most Wanted and won in.
Well, granted, that was a little bit because I was lucky. I'm pretty sure the first time I used it in Most Wanted, I actually lost big time. But then I went back in later and I used it, and I somehow managed to pull probably one of the dumbest victories that I've ever done. And that was by going down the bridge. The bridge with like the little beach exit? I kind of just, turned around there and somehow managed to leave all the cops dumbfounded and get away unscathed. How I pulled that off, I'm still questioning to this day. But I'm not going to take that away. This car is like there's a reason I use this car very often when I select it as most wanted.
And that was when I was sold that this car was great.
Also, that absolutely ridiculous wreck that I pulled there.
And that was when I was sold that this car was...
That was a risky game of chicken that I played. But that was still pretty... I'm still in shock that I managed to do that.
Great. Not just great, but is the second best car in the tier. That leaves only one car left. And you probably already know what it is. The Revent. It's as close to perfection as you can get. It's another well-balanced car like the 177, has less speed and durability, but better everything else. In terms of ease of use, it is one of, if not the easiest car in the tier to drive. And while yes, the GT2 RS has more room for skill expression and feels more rewarding to master, that doesn't mean that the Reventon doesn't have any. Skilled players can maximize the car's aggressive acceleration and handling to handle any curve with ease, then while on straightaways, the car's high speed and strong nitrous will keep you away from all but the most relentless pursuers. And should you find yourself in car combat, this car can take a lot of hits. This car, it's as close to perfection as you can get, and for that, it gets the #1 spot on my list, and I deem it the best exotic car in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Again, biased here. Again, there's a reason it's the cover car because it is a very good car. But would I say it's the best anymore? That's kind of tough to say. I would still say it's my favorite car to drive, but is it the best? I don't know. I might have to redo these lists again sometime. But for now, I would still say that, yeah, it is. Now, did my opinions on these lists really change over time? Not too much. Again, I would re-rank some cars like the V12 Vantage, the Diablo SV. But overall, like the top and bottom picks, I wouldn't say they changed much. Again, maybe the Bentley, though. I would rank the Bentley a little bit higher and maybe put the Viper ACR at the bottom. Again, I'm already in hot water with the Viper ACR shills. Not really afraid at this point. Anyways, we are finished with that part of stream, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to load up the game right now and let's go racing. Also, you may have, if you got a brief glimpse of my tabs, you might have noticed that I was working on something. Yeah, that's going to be for next week, guys, so be sure to stay tuned for when those happen. Guys, the game's loading up right now. I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do for, like, what cars I'm going to drive. I don't know. You don't plan this stuff out. I'm just going to go in, and drive whatever I feel like driving. In fact, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to blindly pick my cars this time. You're going to have to just trust me that when my model's eyes show that they're closed, that they are actually, closed. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have gotten my music ready. I'm gonna get my playlist open. Let's see, which do I feel like using tonight? go with Soundtrack for a Soldier. You may be wondering why I named it that. That's because, you know, I sort of... Oh, nope. That's because, like, ever since I started playing Ace Combat, specifically Zero, I started to feel like organizing the music into the different Ace styles, you know, Mercenary, Soldier, and Knight. And you'll start to see why. Anyways, let's hop into Hot Pursuit Online. And let's find a match. Hopefully not any more hacked lobbies like last time, because that was miserable for me. Race. Just a plain old race in the Super Series. Actually, I think this might be a good opportunity for me to drive the regular Viper again. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'll do. Let's see, where is it? Oh, should I go Final Edition, or... You know what? I'll just go with the regular one. I might have less miles on it, but I'll go with the regular version. You know, usually I would prefer driving the cars that I have less miles on for a choice like this, but, you know, it's not gonna make much of a difference. Boys, let's get ready for a good race today. Or tonight. It's night where I'm at. I've also been thinking about going back to Forza Horizon 5, you know. It's only gonna be like a few more months until... Okay, I'm in the back of the pack here. It's only gonna be like a few more months until... Oh! My car wasn't accelerating there. A little bit of input delay, it seems. Yeah, I might go back to playing some Forza Horizon 5, just so, you know, I can go down the Forza Horizon 6 hype train. I don't know what happened to that. I think that was an M6 that crashed out back there. Maybe he had a little bit of a headbox moment. I'm gonna try a little bit of micro drifting. Okay, that was not good cornering on my part. I gotta remember to use my nitrous after I exit out, or not before. So far, I'm not doing too bad. Now, I was expecting to do a lot worse with this car. There's a curve coming up ahead. I'll use half my tank now. Oh, thread the needle. Go through the curve fast. You go through a curve faster if you have a higher speed up. A little bit of micro drifting with this car. Oh, right up against the wall! Thank goodness I had a full tank of nitrous there. those rocks. Killer. Really playing the blocker game on me, boy. Oh well, it worked. Okay, not too bad. Solid third place for my first race. I guess now is a good time to say how I spent my Valentine's Day. You know, again, I'm a satisfied single right now. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have, you know, a boyfriend. I'm not gay. I am 100% straight. Some might even say I'm an ace. I wouldn't say I made it up quite up to that point. Don't think I want to go up to that point. It's just that, you know, I don't feel that kind of attraction towards people, at least at the moment. But yeah, I didn't go out on any dates. I didn't exactly, you know, I didn't do any of the romantic Valentine's Day stuff. But I did actually go out on a little bit of a rail fanning trip, because at least in my area, or within driving distance of me, there was a special train that was running an excursion nearby. So me and a couple of my real-life railfan friends decided to go out and catch the thing. And some of them, when we finally made it to the spot, they were like, X, why are you going back so far? You could go to like one of the other spots that we planned if you just kept going back. And I'm like, nah, I think I'm good. It's just that the thing is with rail fanning, there's something called camera etiquette. You know, you don't want to get, at least this is like how I go about it. Generally want to avoid getting other people in the camera that, you know, the assumption is they don't want to be in your shot. And you don't want to catch all the extra noise that they make. So just something that I figured I'd do is just step back a little bit further. Sure, I might have to zoom my camera in a little bit more, but you know, I didn't mind it too much. And I actually got some pretty good shots out of it. Would I even say shots? It was a good video out of it. Anyways, let's see. Which do I want to use? I think I'll use the R8 this time. But yeah, that's how I spent most of my Valentine's Day. You know, besides the drive to and from. It wasn't too far away, but when we were heading back, there were a bunch of guys trying to pace the train, you know, try to chase it and get as much video as they could. Driving next to the train. And, you know, there were so many of them that it kind of threw a wrench in our plans for how we were going to get back. That would have been bad for me. It's time I stay quiet. I think Sky heard that and she muted herself. Actually, that might be useful for me right now. Oh man, I forgot how stiff the handling is on this car. Use nitrous as soon as you get out of the curve. Oh yeah, this thing handles very stiffly. Oh, that wasn't very nice. I do like the engine sound on this thing though. Even though it's supposedly like the same as the Gallardo, Ali managed to tune this engine to make it sound a little bit different. But yeah, I don't think like the Viper, I don't think I'm gonna be getting any micro drifts out of this car. wasn't ideal. Definitely want to use the brake and then gas to drift method. Oh no! Okay, well, there's a wreck on the track. I got that Gallardo behind me caught up in it. Almost sounds like there's a jet engine in this thing, even though it's naturally aspirated. Caught up to you now. Focus X. Beat these guys. I actually did do a little bit of micro drifting in this thing. Maybe it's not impossible after all. Again, guys, driving any car in this game, well, is not impossible. It just takes a bit of skill. And I guess when I was making those ranking videos, yeah, I might... Oh, shit! Almost got caught up in a wreck there. Here I am talking about how unskilled I was when I was level 21 on both accounts, and yet there I was narrowly dodging a wreck. Because that makes sense. That's perfect transition. This really isn't like a best or worst car, it depends on your own experience. Whoa! That was a perfect drift there. Straightaway here. I'm just gonna burn all my nitros and get up to speed. Yeah, whoever's like out in front is like way out in front, like a mile ahead. I'm satisfied if I get second here. No, I don't mind. Yeah, podium finish. Podium finish is enough for me. Especially considering I'm not driving like one of the best cars in the game. Tier right now. It's just, you know, something I picked out on a whim. Just no cars on the... Okay, good. Every time I go up those hills, I'm like so nervous. Like, please don't be a car on the other side of this hill. Otherwise, I'd be like... Because if there is, it's like, you can't avoid it unless you have like... You're able to react in like 1/100th of a second. There we go. Well, that was actually end of the line there. Not bad, not bad. Granted, nearly 20 seconds behind the dude in first, but... Considering who I was up against in that race, I think it's acceptable. Sorry guys, I I gotta feed my rope head real quick, and then I'll see how I did. Alright, there we go. Now she's fed. I think I'm gonna... gonna lobby hop real quick, see if I end up in a different session. Because, you know, as fun as it is driving the same car, you know, in the same tier, you know, I want to switch it up every so often. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this before, but Sky, she recently got a little bit of an update where, you know, you can change what you can actually change what names you want her to call you. Or at least, you know, your rope pet. I selected right now for Bobo, you know, like little bro. It's like what that's supposed to sound like. Even though sometimes she says hero, which that's kind of sweet. But anyways, there is actually an option for you to switch what you want her to call you to Onis. Oh man, I'm gonna cringe saying this. Oni-chan. That's literally one of the options for her. I'm like, bro, we got row pets calling their owners Oni-chan before GTA 6. And I'm like, I died of cringe learning that, and I died of cringe writing that as a comment to someone's video. Anyways, I'm gonna rock the Diablo SV for this one. The OG Hot Pursuit car. I think I should probably actually create my own lobby right now. That way things are in my control. Also, guys, I was actually planning on streaming last night, but my computer was acting very, very slow, and I'm like, I don't want my fans putting up with this. I don't want to put it up with I don't want to put up with it myself. So I decided, I'm just gonna save everyone the headache and just, you know, take a little bit of a break last night, which is a shame because I was actually planning on starting something new last night. But oh well, I can wait for another time. You know, we have a lot of time to do as streamers. Okay, I tried to do a little bit of micro drifting there, but it kind of worked in a roundabout way, but not quite at the same time. Really? That's how we're gonna start this? I'm in the back of the pack right now, and like, of course I'm the first one getting targeted. Not the guy who's all the way behind all the police cars. Thankfully, this is a pretty short pursuit race, so I do have a chance of surviving. Maybe not so much if I go into walls or into traffic.
Flexor deployed.
Okay, I'm not actually going to take the shortcut this time because... Oh, that was close. I briefly took my eyes off the screen and I noticed that there was a spike strip between me and that traffic car. Drop right on top of me.
I'm putting together units ahead of your position. Maintain current route. All units, roadblock officers ready and waiting for the orders.
No! That hit me! Oh, man, I thought I was about to go over the edge there. Thankfully, they are... Thankfully, they're quite a distance away from me, but I only have like half my health left right now. All right, sucker.
Monitoring spike frequencies in your area. Proceed with caution.
You bastard. All right.
Detecting an EMP
Yeah,
signal.
no.
Take evasive maneuvers.
You're not getting away from me this time.
Spike strip deployed. We are showing spike
Yeah, you better let your friends take care of me now.
Be on guard.
Whoosh. Gotta be careful of traffic here. It's like, with a turbo, your maneuverability is heavily stunted. Oh, at least that didn't crash me out that time. I survived. Still have a spike strip and a jammer left, so... Yeah, nope, not this time. Alright, dude, you really want to try me, huh? You really want to do this? No, you son of a...
Suspect vehicle has sustained heavy damage.
Oh, I thought I was dead there. I almost was dead. I had, like, I know my avatar was blocking my health bar, but I had nothing there. And yet I still somehow ended up surviving that. Oh, boy. That was pretty nerve-wracking, honestly. Alright, let's... Only 1 second left. Again, I think I'm gonna lobby hop again. So I kind of want to do... I want to do longer games, you know, like Most Wanted. If I can't get in a Most Wanted lobby this time, I think I might make my own. Or arms race. You know what? I'll do an arms race here. I'll only do it once. I'll only do one race here. And then I'll hop out of this one and go on to the next. Alright, which one do I feel like rocking here, guys? What should I go with? You know what? Right, you know what? I'll go with the GTR. A very spur-of-the-moment decision there. I probably should just shut my eyes and picked it random. But well, we'll see how well I do with the GTR this time. I mean, this is arms race, so things are gonna get dirty here. Hello, Sergeant Exodus. I think that's Captain. I think that's my rank right now. Either that or... No, I'm undercover. That's my rank. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, Galahad? How's... No! Well, race is already starting off dirty, it seems. If any of these guys behind me get any ideas. Alright, already off to an amazing... Wow. An amazing start. If I do say so myself. Oh, I see what you're trying to do here, sucker. And it still worked. Maybe I should do the same thing. Right up around. You... Thanks for stealing my idea. I'll sue!
Roadblock units, we need you to engage
Right,
immediately.
now's
You
probably-
are on your own on this one.
I need to catch up now, like now. I know there's a roadblock just waiting for me up ahead. Oh, there it is. Not sure if I should feel sorry for that or not, because I'm already at half health. Like, this is like objective survive right now. Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it? Okay, apparently no one. Yeah, no. I'm not letting you do that. Not to me, not now. See how much fun you have with that. Alright, I'm a decent distance away from everyone so far. Wait, come on, accelerate, accelerate! This car is supposed to have strong acceleration.
You got it.
Actually, it is. It's just that, you know, I end up getting in ridiculous slowdowns like that. I swear, if you drop a spike strip in front of me, I might crash out. Both literally and figuratively. Yeah, maybe I should have stuck with the R8 this time. That very on a whim decision isn't exactly going too well for me right now. I probably could take the shortcut there, but it's too tight for me to take it in this car. I'd rather play it a little bit safe right now because I'm in a comfortable position. I don't care if I finish first, I just want to finish right now. Ideally in the podium. Starting to get a little bit better with that now. I still need to work a little bit on my traffic avoidance skills,
We're gonna try
though.
again. Roadblock units prepare to re-engage.
First and second aren't too far ahead. It's gone now. Yeah, compromised indeed. I see you right up ahead of me, I swear. Drop a spike strip on me. I got my hands on my jammer button. I know you want to do it.
Command has authorized immediate helicopter deployment.
Ain't that funny how that works? You know what? Second, not too bad. Again, I'm satisfied that I finished up in the podium. Captain, I gotta read this. Captain, I didn't beat ass. Oh, I didn't realize that was actually you, Galahad. Racer of honor. I respect that. If I'm gonna fight back, someone better fight me first. Fair enough. But I think I'm gonna back out and see if I can find... If I can't find a most wanted match, I'll make one myself. Okay, no. I think this is the same lobby I was in before, so... You know what? No, I'll find a session. If there's not one there, I'll create one myself. Okay, wait, no, that's not what I selected. What was it? Find session. Most wanted. Exotic. Alright, while I'm waiting, I'm gonna take a quick moment to hydrate myself. Got ourselves a relative, fresh lobby here. Stellar Yume is in the mix here. Again, this time I'm gonna randomly pick my car. You know, I'm just gonna shut my eyes and randomly pick one. And whatever it is, I have to drive it whether I like it or not. And no matter which side I end up on. Okay, the Aston. This I can work with. I saw you choose arm races. By the way, Captain, you better call me Jensen or Oreo. Okay, Oreo then. Would suggest changing your in-game name to it so that, you know, and your Twitch name perhaps, just so I can recognize it a little bit better, but yeah, I'll try to remember that. Jensen. Bodyguard duties. I wonder how well I'm gonna do this time. Again, I'm not sure. I know how Jensen does. Oh wait, did half my team just leave? No way! Half my team just left, including the most wanted. Bruh. Bro, what What was that about? You had 2 star players on your team and you both left. That was a bit unexpected. Yeah, they were using the McDonald's Wi-Fi. Bruh. Oh, look who's back. Okay. Sorry if your internet bad, but sorry, I was kind of questioning how the heck 2 players on our team just left. It was a bit. It kind of caught me a little bit off guard, so that's why I reacted as I did. All right, again, random choice time. I'll go with this. Okay, 12C. Again, I can work with this. I might have to be a little bit more conservative with how I turn this thing, but I can work with it. I think I'll try to go for like another 15-30 minutes on stream tonight, guys. 'Cause tomorrow for me is going to be a long day. I'll hopefully be streaming tomorrow, but it's going to be a long day. First order of business, lights off.
Suspect sighted, pursuit underway.
Okay, good. People know that trick. Although really, it's not much of a trick. It's just, you know, a little bit of logic. Whoa! Probably could go back and, you know, bust, bro. I probably could have went back and busted him if I thought fast enough. Okay, now's my opportunity to get him. Or not. Oh, lucky bastard.
Suspect is on the freeway construction site. All units, we are reading a disruption to the communication system.
I'm gonna keep a little bit of distance right now. I just knew it.
Monitoring a tire blowout. Evasive maneuvers recommended. A roadblock is deployed directly ahead of you.
Now that he's out of... Now that he just used a spike strip, it'll be like another 2 minutes before he could use another one. Good opportunity for me to... Nice little EMP on either him or his boss. Ideally his boss, since he's we need to go after.
All units, we are detecting a power surge from the suspect. Be on guard.
What the... I thought the Illuminati stuff was like limited to off-stream stuff.
Frontline patrol units on scene. Let me know where you want them.
Okay, now your boss is in trouble. So we're starting to catch up. You see, I can make this car work. Just takes a little bit of, you know, knowing what you're in for.
Bikes on the road. All units proceed with caution.
I just heard that spike strip noise. I'm like, nope, not today. Oh, you tricky, you lucky bastard! No, you think you can fool me with that? 2 games in a row? Damn, McDonald's is really cheaping out on their Wi-Fi there. Yeah, Oreo, that is some bullshit right there. No, he rage quit. Oh, bruh. Oh, looks like I'm in control now. Oh well, boys. See who ends up most wanted this time. Okay. Well, this one I'm not gonna randomly choose my car this time. Has rarely failed me. Then Yume and Callie, they know what's up. By the way, you know how to reset teams? Yeah, I kinda do. What we need to do is to, after this round, I'm gonna do a regular race, just to, you know, cycle everyone out. And then after that race, we'll switch it back to most wanted so that the teams are reshuffled. Anyways, let's see how we do this time, boys. No, just change to race and then change back to most wanted. No need to do a race. Well, last time I did that, I did not. It didn't exactly work. I need to get through. Yeah, no, get off me. You ain't gonna do shit to me right now, pal. Turning around. No! Oh! That was a hell of a save.
Monitoring spike strip release in your area. Proceed with caution.
Well, that's bullshit right there. Dropped a spike strip right on top of him and it didn't do anything.
Together units ahead of your position and maintain current route. Roadblock unit dispatch, please be advised on target position.
Goodness, teammates, thank goodness. I'm gonna use this opportunity wisely. I legit thought I was screwed by turning around there. You know, it's not usually the best tactic, but it was all I had. It was the best that I could think of, like, after getting spike stripped like that.
EMP activated, acquiring target launch.
perfect spot to gain some speed. Heck of a time catching up with me. Nearly made it through. This looks like they're catching up. We got most of the troop here. We got most of the company. Into the wall. Right, now's my opportunity. Turbo time! Whoa, don't go into that car. Oh, I just 237 miles an hour there. That was insanely fast.
Spike strip deployed. We're showing spike strip deployed at your location.
Lucky bastard managed to catch up with me. That's fine. I'm about to get away now. Ooh. Just threaded right through that roadblock. Keep zapping in and out of cooldown right now. Alright, I can get away. I'm getting away! You can't stop me!
Advised suspect is still at large. Pursuit is
I can finally
unsuccessful.
breathe again. And that felt quick, but barely any time went by. Or actually, no, a lot of time went by. All right, now's my time to do this. Select mode. All right, now let's switch it back up. Hopefully that ends up reshuffling the teams, and if not, I crush out. Yeah, no, it didn't really... Oh, well, it did shuffle up the teams, but not really in a good way, I'd say. I lost my body. I lost Yume. Oh, that's not good. My teammates already crashed out. Now you understand my feelings. Oh boy. Shame you have to do all this stuff manually now. It's like you would think for like a remaster of this game, they would add something like, you know, they added the custom livery editor. You would think they would add some way for you to automatically reshuffle the teams. I guess not in this. I guess not. All right, focus, Axe. You got this. beam not. I don't know what I was expecting, but this car can't micro drift. At least not to the same extent that... Oh my... What is going on back there? Sorry, I had the picture of in my mind of like the dancing trash cans meme. That's what happened back there. I'm sorry that happened to you, Oreo. All right. Yeah, no.
Monitoring spike strip release in your area. Proceed with caution.
No.
Spike strip is
Okay. Apparently, it's going both ways right now, it seems.
I'm putting together units ahead of your position. Maintain current route.
No! 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 Oh my... Yeah, now I know how you feel, Oreo. Oy, oy, oy.
EMP activated, acquiring target lock.
Oh man, dumbassery on both sides that time. Jeez. Okay, yep, I'm definitely reshuffling the teams this time because that was awful. Wanted. Exotic. Hopefully it reshuffles the teams, like, better this time so I don't... Oh. Someone's gonna end up with newcomers. Yeah, low level 3. Well, I guess I can't win them all. But Yume is not on our team, though, this time. It seems like the game only wants me to have one or the other of you. Yeah, this game hates it. It knows what we're trying to do, Oreo, but it doesn't want it to happen. Or maybe the game knows that I didn't change my opinions too much on my list that I made for like best to worst cars in Hot Pursuit, and it didn't take it very well. First, lights out.
Officer has engaged suspect vehicle in hot pursuit. Confirmed. Pursuit engaged.
Guys, be careful. Don't hit each other. What did I just say? And now Sky is like yelling at me because, you know, I was yelling. Vicious cycle, you know. She doesn't like when I get too loud. She likes it when I'm loud, just not, you know, yelling loud.
Detecting an EMP lock signal. Take evasive maneuvers.
Target is not the flight here. The situation is highly dangerous.
That wasn't particularly good there, but I am managing to keep pace with these guys.
Lock in position ahead.
Please hit it. Hit it like I hit that traffic car.
Monitoring spike strip release in your area.
Oh, I know what you're gonna try to do to me, but I'm not about to let that happen.
All units, we are reading a disruption to the communication system. Please confirm dispatch operation.
Alright, this music is kind of helping me lock in a little bit. Dystopian electro music on my side. From the playable flight shooter anime franchise. That was a bit of a mistake there, buddy. Wouldn't you say? Now I'm gonna keep my distance a little bit because I know what he's gonna try to do. Man, I thought I was out of range that time. Guess not. No, now that's bull right there.
EMP activated, acquiring target lock.
No! Bruh. Ouch. No!
Suspect is escaping. Please maintain pursuit.
I didn't know what I was supposed to do there. That sucked.
All units, we are detecting a power surge from the suspect. Be on guard.
Is the timer like malfunctioning or something?
Okay, suspect is moving out of range. Re-engage. A roadblock is deployed directly ahead of you.
I know I gotta improve my reaction time a little bit, but some of those things, some of those instances where spikes are dropped like right on top of you, you just can't avoid them, it feels like.
Suspect is headed along Sunset Drive.
Okay, now's your opportunity. Get him! No! Robbed, I tell you. I just love when you try to do something. I just love when you try to do something and you don't. Okay. Another case of Starbucks Wi-Fi. The heck happened there? No. I think Yume crashed out or something. Alright, I think I'll do one more match tonight. And then I'll call it a night because, again, I think I started like, let me see how long streams, let me see how long stream's been going. Almost 3 hours. Yeah. My last round too. Alright. Fine by me. my job. Now it's my turn to protect you. You know what? I think I'll keep the lucky streak up with the GT2 RS this time. By the way, I actually got this. I didn't see an RS, but I got to see a 997 GT2 while I was at the Philadelphia Auto Show. First recorded time I've managed to see one of those, like a GT2 in general, because I haven't seen the 991 GT2. I haven't seen the 996 GT2. And honestly, for me, it just stands out the most compared to all the 911 variants. Alright, time to lock in, boys.
No suspect heading to your location. Engage on site.
Oh, your parents walked in on you there, Yume. That's what happened, huh? Okay. Well, I can forgive you for that. Especially since, you know, that round was going terribly for us. But yeah, that's fine. I think I'm going to be calling it a night after this round anyway, so... No, these guys already caught up to us. Oh, I've got to pay attention to my rear view more, it seems.
Maintain current route.
Great. Lucky son of a bitch. How come every time I do a slowdown, it backfires on me big time, and yet when others do it, it works just fine. I never figure this out sometimes, you know? There's only one cop behind Oreo right now. I could just catch up to him.
Turbo boost system online.
And I'm back to these. Let's go.
Turbo boost available.
I swear, if this dude tries to... Oh no, there's... I didn't realize... Second. Alright. And at this point, I'm just spamming turbos like... No tomorrow. Oreo can last until I make it up to him. have taken the opportunity to turn around here because this beach area would have been the perfect place to turn around at. No! Oh. Ouch. Wonder what it is this time. Another case of parents. Oh, disconnected. I was gonna say, Yume said parents came back. Either I help or get. Oh man. All right. Well, I'll give myself another round because that was a pretty. My teammates are leaving me, boys. All right. I still think you have an opportunity to get back in. Hopefully. Once again, I'm gonna switch. Okay, maybe not. I'm gonna swap up the lobby again. See if that shuffles the team up any better. Praying it does. For our last round for tonight. Okay, it looks like I'm on bodyguard duty one last... Or not! I am the most wanted again. Let's see if this round goes as good as the last one. Praying that I don't end up disconnecting. It seems to be a curse right now that whoever ends up as most wanted ends up disconnecting in like ridiculous fashion. Well, I'm gonna stick with it, though. I'm gonna use my good luck car. Where Silver Creek Road is. Oh, good, perfect. It's right on the way to 3 Points Road.
No suspect heading to your location. Engage on site.
All right, time to get in the zone, boys. My beat right here.
I'm putting together units ahead of your position. Maintain current route.
Yeah, no. They ain't gonna do shit to me. Not this time. No! Oh, yeah, no, I'm not letting that happen to me. Not this time. Alright, boys, cover me. Looks like we have a little change in plans here. Alright.
EMP activated. Acquiring target lock.
I'm gonna draft behind my teammate here.
Suspect has left the road.
Hopefully that goes well. I am gonna have to in case things get hairy back there.
Spike strip deployed.
Thread the needle. Yes.
Suspect last seen on the East Coast Freeway.
No.
All units, we are reading a disruption.
Where's my bodyguard? Where are my bodyguards? Well, GG's. Yeah. GG's indeed.
Suspect is headed off-road.
Changing plans. I hope he hit that.
Monitoring spike strip release in your area. Proceed with caution.
Oh no, you don't. If I'm going down fighting.
Suspect just ran a roadblock.
Yeah, hit me with an EP. I dare ya.
Spike strip online.
Spike strip deployed. We are showing spike strip deployed at your location.
I think one of my other bodyguards. Well, besides DNFing there, getting crashed out. I think the other one's AFK right now, and that's not good for me. No! Oh! He just came flying in out of nowhere. Alright, stay close to me. Don't... Stay on my 6. Don't leave there. Oh, I wasn't talking to you. Okay. No. I'm not going out like this.
All units, weapon systems are down.
No! You lucky bastard.
Spike strip is the target.
Okay. That was unexpected. No! How? How did that happen? I didn't see him behind me. Bruh. I swear, the game just knows whenever I want to leave, it doesn't want to let me out. It doesn't want to... It wants me to go through a match in pain. That last match in pain. I swear, I dropped the spike strip right on top of him, and it didn't register. No, I'm not going out on a loss like that. I refuse to. I'm not making any compromises this time. Gotta lock in. A semi-coordinated team here, boys.
Suspects have been identified and initiated
Get this guy.
Target is heading towards the rock tunnel.
Close in on him.
The roadblock is too close directly ahead of you.
Don't let him get away this time. Oh! Surround him. Yes! Short, but a satisfying victory there. I mean, sure, I really didn't do anything much until the end there, but better than ending on a loss, wouldn't you say? Alright guys, that's gonna be it for me tonight. So, my final thoughts and words for tonight, at least regarding the lists. My opinions on them really wouldn't have changed much. Maybe a few cars would have had drastically different placements, but like the best and worst, they really wouldn't change all that much. And you know, I had some fun tonight, you know, minus that second to last game. But yeah, it was overall a good time, and you know, glad I decided to stream tonight. I'm gonna be leaving off for tonight. Hopefully I'll be streaming again tomorrow. Till then, cadets and citizens, take care, have some fun out there. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Happy Valentine's Day. Until next time, farewell.